Morning. We're on the 12th day. It looks like 12th. It could be 13th for all I know. 13th. October 13th. But it's not Friday, it's Thursday. So next one is Friday the 13th. I wonder if that's November. Let's write that down. October 13th. Today's Thursday. And the moon has gone from full moon to set that up. Moon phrase. You're on the Wise One channel. I'm your host, Lady Caren. Oh, I'm not. No way. Oh. Okay. So I'm going to decrescent. So it's getting small, or getting less and less visual. Planning. The waning. It's waning. It's getting smaller and smaller. Yes. So. How are you guys doing today? I hope you guys are doing well. I'm doing good. I'm not doing bad or anything. So I'm trying to maintain success. So yesterday I rested a lot. I didn't really do anything. So today I'm going to get back into the flow of things, sort of like a Monday. Which is interesting. Let's see what the two has for us. It's good to go fully done. If you're not familiar, we're doing the Sacred Circle Tarot by Anna Franklin and Paul Mason. Eventually, I'll probably get more tarot decks. I don't have a lot of magical supplies. Okay. The deck we have is not reversed. Okay, we have the Warrior, number 8 on the Major Arcana. For today. Something without a glare. Yeah. That's better. Sort of gorgeous to go. Gorgeous. At that. Warrior, portrayed by a female. Badger. And then in the field, open field. Weapons. Very powerful. Okay. The major arcana 21 and 17. Or divinatory meaning. The warrior here is a psychic warrior with body, mind, and spirit as weapons. They must be tuned to work in harmony. The warrior faces her own fear, develops her spiritual courage, and hones the will. Will is not an impulse or desire, or even willpower. It's in the card of the chariot. The answering strength, unwavering strength. It's that seeks the personal trait and path. If the card of the warrior appears in your spread, it shows that you will have the opportunity to put plans into action. It's the card of a powerful forward-moving energy, is indicating that you can muster adverse circumstance through your determination and courage. However, while you must be firm, you must not be aggressive or lose your temper. This behavior make you lose ground, whatever your fight. So keep your head. You must keep a clear head and calm demeanor. And remember to be magnanimous in victory. Spirituality, this card speaks about the development of will. The warrior may subject herself to physical extremes to force her will and consciousness beyond the ordinary. We all subject to many fears, and the warrior's purpose is to seek them out and to defeat them. It must be reorganized body, how its own fears, fear of injury, fear of physical danger, which are natural and proper. Without these fears, you put your hand in the fire, crash your car, or jump off a cliff. The body has an innate mechanism of self-preservation. It clings to life. That's its job. The warrior may decide to face many physical fears to develop will and courage. Fear facilitates a change to circumstance. To conquer a fear facilitated the development of the will to do something too dangerous that it may result in injury or death. However, it is no part of the warrior's path. It is self-indulgence. The deepest fear lies within the mind itself. It arises from childhood and adult experiences and coordinating conditioning. Such fears limit us and prevent us from development. At some point, a warrior must confront them one by one and deal with them. Your spirituality is your own quest, and you must find your own truth. You can't, however, rest and test and push yourself. Run that extra mile, run that extra 2 legs, swim that extra 2 legs. Dig a few extra yards. You can do much more than you imagine yourself. Impose those limits. Oh, break your self-imposed limits. That's an interesting aspect. Why do we limit ourselves? Where do we limit ourselves? What happens when we just let go of those limits and we push through and we keep going? I generally like to let fear I don't really confront fear as much as I let fear give way to knowledge or to wisdom. I find that is a more consistent way of dealing with it for me. The way that fear works is we tend to universally fear the unknown, what we don't know. And so from there, we can become angry or find a way to deal with what we're afraid of, depends on how we deal with it. Anger usually comes with good results for us. Something like we did it, gritted our teeth, and we faced it and it ran away. The fear, whatever we were afraid of, ran away. But so from not knowing, we tend to have fear, and from fear we tend to have anger, and from anger we tend to have hate. Or comedy is another route that a lot of people go when they're angry, they're hurt, they're scared. Lift the mood. Uh, that seems to be when it's one of those non-intellectual fears, those no nonsense. There's no reason. Well, of course, there's reasons, but we don't know what they are. Why somebody is afraid, and we go through that. We make some sort of comment, and we have fun, and depending on what to the approach of comedy. Um, Goes away. Fear, if we laugh at it, we laugh in the face of fear. Sometimes there's results from that as fear kind of dissipates, like, oh, Harry Potter and Bogwart in class with, who's that werewolf guy? Professor something. Anyways, he's like, here, let's face a Hogwarts and let's transform into your worst fear. And you think for class children that the fear is something, uh, you know, like Professor Snape or something nearly tangible enough to laugh at. But oh, what do we do when children have adult fears like uh, Death Eaters or something? Or not Death Eaters. Death Eaters were the cults of adults, but Dementors. Like Dementors. Uh, or children have real tragedies that happen to them, real trauma that happened to them, and they develop realistic fears. And we want to keep children innocent and something that they can laugh at about their fears. Or fear of spider is like might be a different thing. When we conquer this fear, we conquer fear, and then it goes away. And that's not one and done. A lot of people will have life lessons. I used to think in life lessons. I used to believe that life has a lesson every day, and the way you approach that, and the way school, it is a student kind of form as you're on this journey of self-discovery and this way of life. Having lessons is rather an approach, but it's a two-line schooling where we think that, oh, it's not so serious or it's not so real, or we're able to give it a detachment, keep it at pace. This isn't as real or isn't as applicable in everything. It just pertains to this. It's a test, it's a lesson. And that way, when we approach it, we're done with it after we conquered, overcome it. A lot of people say, I don't know why this keeps happening to me. I learned my lesson. As you've done. And it's a common thing that happens with a lot of us. And I learned that it's not the lesson, it's the way we evolve in that moment, in that experience. The way we can evolve an understanding that we have a choice. And we have a choice on where we recognize that we're having a fear, an experience, a lesson, or something is going on here. Become aware of it, where it's brought to the forefront of our minds. And then when we learn, when we're gathering tools, we learn that we can do, not do, or, you know, run towards, run away, or be neutral about a situation. Those three things that I'm sure there's more, but sensory wise, we'll get a sense that we process our experience through this. And the situation is going to arise and arise and arise, just like for children. If you teach them to laugh at their monsters, different applications of monsters and monsters evolve. I mean, anywhere from predatorial beings to wild animals, and whatever the situation, whether you're privileged enough to be out in the wild, which used to be the reverse if you're privileged enough to be in the city. But you're privileged not to be out in the wild, and it's scary. How do you want to approach a cougar and you're about the size of a 3-foot snack? Yeah, no. So monsters change and evolve. We can change and evolve. And we know these things is, what do we want to do about it? Do we want to run? Do we want to hold our ground? Do we want to laugh at the situation? Give it a confrontation? I tend to try to find a bigger picture. It gives me more of a perspective of an approach. How did that come to be? How did I, in the way of a cougar? And you don't want to spend time thinking about this because time is valuable. Did you end up in their lair, in their grounds? Is there a cute little wiggly, snuggly, woolly little kitty that you should not touch or go anywhere near? Kitty cub there, and their immediate thought is human bad, human eat us, human attack, human. They might not even have thought at the time. They might have instinct to protect, and you might be that this area. And we give off hormones and pheromones and all sorts of interesting tells. We're constantly giving tells, and which helps and hinders autism. So we pay attention to those. Those are our clues on how to dissect our next conscious mission, our next conscious moment. And every situation can be different. If you see a snake, you can avoid the hell out of a snake. You can remain calm. And if you're familiar with snakes, somebody has taught you, or you're, enough how to, like, get out of its way, or how they handle snakes, where, like, they can grab the head or whatever. If you're like, oh, who's that Australian, the white Australian guy? And his family, and he sadly passed away. May he rest in peace. But It's family, you know, something. I'll think of it later. I'm gonna finish up this coffee. But they're knowledgeable, and it's not that it doesn't come with risk. It's just that is their approach to handling a wild snake. Where you handle wild cougar, you can if you can live through it. When you're 3 foot. So what you do is you're not only trying to navigate a situation, but you're trying to discipline yourself, grow a type of way of dealing with things from you that give you a sense of control or gives you a sense of managing yourself, um, which is which can be challenging for some and easy enough for others, where their only concern is the situation that's going on because they're very with what they're going to do. They can trust themselves. You know, sometimes you don't have to trust yourself to do the right thing. Sometimes you can just trust yourself to know, I trust you. I trust you to betray me. I trust you to do exactly what, uh, yeah, there's some people, it's like the type of trust isn't just like, oh, they're going to be good, they're trustworthy. No, there is trust is a type of ability to predict certain behaviors. I trust that you won't betray me. I trust you won't tell anybody. And so, but we continuously evolve and continuously be our better selves, which, 45 minutes we can. I can become a better YouTuber. I put my attention on becoming better at YouTubing. Right now, I'm striving at being better with my life and my lifestyle. Took Wednesday off, did well, and now I have to get right back at it, start the laundry, go get the whole to-do list done. I don't rest really on the weekends because it's more like me taking care of my family who's resting, who's been through a busy work week, school week, learning week, development week, making sure that their needs are met, making sure everything's covered so they can just rest. Because I try taking rest of the weekends, and it's like my rest is different from their rest, and like confident and also real socializing for my younger ones, my older ones, getting their social calendars so they can socialize on the weekends. So it's coordinating for other people's rest to make sure I took my rest. Taking it Wednesday is important, I have found. Um, yeah, or to be there present with somebody, because for me, a lot of times there's rest where I need to zone out. I need to make sure it's safe to just zone out and just do thyself and just sit there and desensitize for a little while and be under a blanket. Sure, food is coming. Everybody has their food. Everybody has their clothing. Everybody has their their accessibility to being clean and being able to handle things they need to do themselves, and that they can keep going on with their life, because apparently it's cornerstone when you have a role. And they don't seem to realize how cornerstone each of these roles are when we start building a cell, a home cell. And it's something that I'm discovering. When you have a consistent home cell, you develop nuances of network and cultivate type of behaviors. And so doing all that and having a safe space and having a way to be aware of like approaching a safe space for me to approach things like things that I do fear about. So when I want to give out wisdom knowledge, I'd like to have a safe space to go down the rabbit hole. Sometimes, you go down the rabbit hole and your hours gone and you realize you need to get work done. Sometimes I like to we need to go down the rabbit hole. We need to have knowledge. Knowledge doesn't just stop when you get out of school. Knowledge isn't just for school. And a lot of times, since it's a great place to put everything else aside, where food is provided for you, where all the distractions are taken or something, and you can just focus on what everybody is supposed to know for some weird reason. Oh, you should have learned that at school. It doesn't stop. It's just a nice place to gather knowledge where you have curriculum available, where you have where a bunch of people have already like info dumped and it's there available to read. And then since it's an overwhelming amount, teachers and people that develop curriculum sort it out like, okay, let's go over this, then go over that for a lot of people who have no idea how to do that. That's a fun thing for homeschooling is, okay, here's a whole one you have to go and be able to seek out, have available, uh, a lot of information and ways of going over that information, whether it's visual, whether it's audio, whether it's textile, science experiments. We could sit there about the whole periodic table and how when certain periodic tables interact with periodic tables, when certain elements from a periodic table interact with other elements of the periodic table, and when you apply certain variables, and let's do that again and again and again and again and again and see what kind of results you get. You should, or we know that certain results happen from the previous, 10,000 times that everybody else has mixed this and this together and went, you know, or this amount, or if you change amount, which has become a veritable scientific method, scientific research. Well, you don't do as much scientific research as they've done, and they've brought it to you, donated it to, and they get paid. They donate it to museums, but and places of learning. So knowledge is great. And then the social aspect, because that is where you are socializing and you're spending incredible amounts of time socializing with a new cellular cultivated structure of people, organism of social structure of people, where you're putting the schooling in. And there's not a lot of freedoms with it, but there's a whole lot of structure with it. And hopefully, you're a person that can operate in all that structure. Okay, gonna get more pros than cons out of it. That's the fun part about facing my fear or understanding that I have certain fears and leaving it open or letting it fall away to knowledge. I go and seek out. That's how I came into witchcraft. Oh my gosh, and I love it. I was so scared. And it is so intensely awesome. Like awestruck. It is. It's magic and witchcraft. And it's normal. It's not exactly the supernatural. It's so interesting. They're like those witches are the same thing as werewolves and vampires. They're mythological. There's no such things. There's lots of witches, and witches don't really fly on broomsticks that I have ever found. But magic, this understanding, this science of understanding human nature and how our they're just now, psychology is becoming more of a hard science, I guess, where they're learning more and more about things that witches knew this whole time. And they kept it secret, much like alchemists kept things secret, and physicians of, way back then, um, that wrote everything in Latin or in code and stuff like I have newt being mustard seed. I'm like, I should go look all that up and find out what that was a recipe for. That would be, I'm sure he was just making stuff up, but what if he was listening to an actual recipe? What if his grandmother or great great grandmother was making something? Uh, that would be intriguing. I've never bothered. It's like looking up the translation. So learning about witchcraft, because I was petrified that some witch was going to do something, and I was going to be cursed, and who knows what. And now it seems ridiculous, but I can't invalidate the feelings of what I didn't know. I didn't have invalidated feelings. I was a human being that didn't have knowledge about witches. Witches are, ooh, so evil, so bad. No. And if you look at the approach of Hocus Pocus, I did note that. It was significant to me, and it may be a minute issue, is the way they treated the sisters 20 years ago versus how they treated them in Hocus Pocus 2. They were demised, but in the second one, they were sent to a more peaceful ground to be together. And it portrayed that the girls' only goal was to be together, and they were ostracized for being different and for being, what could possibly happen if you don't like somebody and things that like happened. She had property. Her dad died. They wanted her house. I'm betting, which is the thing that would happen. She would have to marry so that they could get the property, and she was pretty much cattle. So of course she took her revenge and used magic to get her revenge. But still, the fact that they would get the way things are handled, the way we approached witchcraft, the way it was more fun to sell the black candles and the more fun to be, new witches, and the way that they handled things, and the way that, people used to get screwed over, the way that people work and operate. That is the most interesting thing to me, is how people, as human beings, as individuals, as living, breathing entities, setting and understanding of, consciousness, handle or react to or develop a way of doing things, especially in isolation. If Big Brother is teasing little sister, um, how little sisters develop a whiny, beggy kind of way. We just want to beg in a certain situation, but given this, a brother and a sister, where the brother is more caring or more nurturing or a protector of a little sister, how she develops strong, she may develop more of a strong personality, more confident, more into herself, development. Like the difference between me and my siblings is everybody loved my little sister because, I mean, she hardly portrayed any of those autistic traits. And I had all those autistic traits where they're not familiar what to do with these traits. And how my sister's far more successful at certain things, and how I have a different perspective and how I handle my life with those certain perspectives. Those introspectives is how I can make certain things work, and they're like, "Oh, wow, how'd you do that? That's ama" It's not really amazing because treating people like they're regular people, no matter what their size, age, color. Yeah, but I've tried, good done to me and other people, and the results are I'm not comfortable with those results. Uh, it's called parroting, and it's not something I can control. Uh, but being aware of it, being hyper fixated on, no, this is not what I want to do when somebody's like that. I want to approach this certain situation differently rather than, being teased or being, understanding fear and understanding things. So it starts with understanding a situation and trying to understand how a situation came to be. That is my first reflex. As I practiced this method of approaching a situation where I start with, how did this come to be? Can I see this from their point of view and my point of view? And I've started dropping who's right and who's wrong. It's a practice. I still have to practice that, so that's not yet instinctual. When I get into a situation where somebody's teasing or doing something that involves a not knowing or a type of ignorance that gets into a situation, um, and being aware, what is it really? Is it what they're saying? Is their body language matching? And with this, knowing that I have autism now, and knowing that I'm on the spectrum, knowing that I can use that as an asset, as I can use ascertain the traits that allow me to navigate what I can do with a little more assertion and understanding that I'm like this has its reasons. It's supposed to be like this. What if we're supposed to be autistic versus a neurotypical? What if I'm supposed to pay attention to certain details and all these details that are very obvious instead of learning to ignore them like you're taught to? Keep your hands to yourself. Don't do this. Don't do that. Don't pay attention to that. Keep your attention here on the blackboard. Set up straight. Do what you're supposed to. And what if for autism, you're not supposed to? That's not healthy for an autistic person to do. What if I put my energy, my concentration, my spoons, my emotional, capacity into taking a look at the situation that I'm in and being able to lead or understanding. A lot of it was I had this leadership um, qualities. People used to, when I said something, people used to listen in my youth. Um, and then when I got older, somehow, I don't know where it went, the confidence was gone. I had confidence encouraged, but then the behavior that I had wasn't what they wanted. Um, so learning what I really am and having confidence that I'm good as who I am. I'm more than good enough. There's something here that's meant to be versus, how can I make the situation better or healthier? Not even better, just healthier so that everybody can benefit. What's the bigger picture so that I know from here this is a more natural flow versus a choice over here, which is somebody loses something, or a choice over here where nobody wins. it's all confrontational, and you can escalate a situation, and things are as they are, as it's been done to me. As I wish I could go back in time and change things. Here's a new situation, just like that one that I wish I could change. Now I have more of an understanding where it came from, what it really is, what I understand more about it, and which perspective, because there are several ways that you can look at a behavior, a way of doing things, or something like that. And then what is the one where they could do their best and I could be my best and live the best life and live the healthiest and enjoy the experience? What do we want out of that experience? Do we all want to go happy? Do we all want to go excited and thrilled and like, whew, a new, reborn kind of thing? And those kind of things that are such a blessing from, just being divine, our own divine selves. And we should learn these things. We should all learn these things. Yeah. And so I've just been talking and talking and talking. So, yeah, if you enjoy my vlogging where it's a lot of talking in the background, like and subscribe. I lost a subscriber. And the fact that I only had 20, I noticed. So the like buttons, they give me a little dopamine, a little serotonin carrying, is it dopamine's carrying serotonin, so serotonin's carrying dopamine, something. Serotonin, no. Serotonins and dopamines are different hormone levels, something. I'd have to look at it again, because visually, I'm a visual person, not an audio person. I'm half deaf, so therefore, I don't trust what I heard. I like, or, that just something about the way you speak. So I want to make sure that that's straight. And so, more of myself. If I let fear, anger, hate, unknowing fall away to knowledge, to seek out knowledge, to seek out understanding, and to seek out more information and let judgment fall away, I end up with a result where I can feel more natural and less uh, escalations. And I feel healthier about it. Feel more confident. There's lots and lots of things that I am learning to do, like crowds, channel clouds. If I have to interact with crowds, I'm still learning that one. Learning volume control is scary. Because volume goes up and down uncontrollably. Learning to make eye contact and do things. Eye contact is funny because I feel like I get a whole ton of information when you look at somebody's eyes. The funny thing is, if you've ever seen like dead eyes, somebody's not there. I've noticed when somebody sells a gimmick, like you could make $10,000 in 20 minutes, in a phone call, and you could do this, and you could do this at home, and you can make millions and get your job, and da 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 da. If it's a gimmick, a lot of times, or they're selling something that they can't believe somebody would actually buy, or they don't believe in the product. Their eyes do this kind of like a dead thing. They just kind of go away in the eyes. The muscles aren't moving as often. Their eyes aren't darting. If somebody's nervous, like they're about to get caught, or they're worried about getting caught, and they're not autistic, then their eyes start around. If they're more worried about, it's not so much getting caught. Okay, so what I've noticed is if they're not autistic, too many eyes. Like The Last Samurai, I watch a lot of shows, a lot of television. Helped me like hyperfixate on to learn culture, to learn people's nuances, to learn to try to learn acceptability. What's what how people work, how people lead, how people follow, what's submissive, what's dominant, what's this give and take, and because I don't understand hierarchy, patriarchy, all these other things. I don't understand why, one has to not take care of themselves, not make the decisions themselves, and somebody else has to make decisions and do the stuff and take care of everything and be responsible and take the fall and how somebody's free of all that. And that's an illusion, but we'll get through that another time. So, why parents have to tell their kids to do everything instead of having their kids learn how they want to handle it as they're learning to develop themselves. It's interesting. They're developing skills and they're developing themselves, and you just show them what you've done. Show them provided a safe environment, provide a healthy environment, provide for them so that they're able to do it themselves. It gets a lot of good results on my thing, but it's not always like that. And people know their kids better than somebody else knows their kids. Uh, or sometimes teachers know their kids better because their teacher spends more hours with them. They do waking hours. We get all the sleeping hours. We're told that you can't have co-sleeping. Like, how else are you supposed to bond with your child every waking hour? Don't bond with your child. Your child should bond with your friends. And wonder why we think that they were just brats and we sent them, like our parents sent us outside to go live and couldn't stand us making messes in their house, and they just, wanted to get rid of us, hated us. Well, some of us, not everybody had that experience. Sometimes it's a choice of lifestyle where you could choose to live out in the middle of nowhere and farm everything. And that's not exactly a common thing. It's becoming more common because domestication is not exactly healthy. And too much of anything is a bad thing, is what I find. Moderation is a healthier dose. And sometimes the difference between medicine and poison is the sheer amount of stuff. Yeah. So too much of my channel is bad for you, but not enough is sometimes a deficit. Yes, you need some of your Wise One channel. You need to hit that notification bell so you know when I randomly come on and do videos on cooking, cleaning, talking, preaching in the morning. Yeah, preaching. Because I love making what I know. It's an info dump. It's because I love you. Preaching is info dumping, and that's a sign that I love you. And I want to tell you about God, Goddess, and the whole divine, and the whole, divination of the world. Yes. At the beginning, lecturing isn't just for me to talk. It's info dumping. It's for you to know. I shared. It's so great. Here, have something that is so great. Now that I know what info dumping is, now that I'm not just being like, I'm a terrible person because I just want to talk in my ear. No, I'm trying to share love with you. It's my love language. Listen, so that you can share with me and so that I can get some of what you already know from your perspective. Yeah. So, yeah, autism is a very interesting experience. They were dull. And I've learned that my lights don't turn off. You're supposed to, from what I understand, if you go like this, you can, after the lights are dimmed, or some people see little lights, some people see little flecks, some people see colors, some people see all sorts of stuff. If you go like this, and if I slightly put a bit of pressure on, I see, those little electrical light show, the complete light show, and apparently it's not just little shaped little lines. It's, it looks like veins sometimes. It's like that ball. And apparently it's supposed to dim down, and you're supposed to get black behind your eyelids. Mine doesn't stop. It's your eyes get photons. Your eyes receive information. My eyes don't quit getting electrical pulses shooting back my. Apparently, I'm strange and weird unless you guys know. Yeah, unless there's somebody I haven't met, somebody outside my circle, or the information I googled, whatever, that they close their eyes and I can't get just dark eyelids. They don't turn off. The impulse, the lights, my ADD, my autism, whatever, it's constantly going. My meditation, when I breathe and calm, you kind of just let everything go. I can do that instantly. Ever since I was a kid. And for a few years, I couldn't do it hardly. I didn't do it at all. All right. So for like a decade, I didn't do it at all. I didn't have a single moment of rest. I was in constant fight or flight mode. I was constantly stressed and ready for the next thing. But outside of that decade, instantly just calm, breathe, and get into that space, that zone, that zen, that peace, where the brain, people are like, can you get it to shut off? I mean, it's not so much it got shut off as it just something more, a peaceful channel. Like if you're flipping through and you're on YouTube where there's cute little animals that come across the screen, or it's just a field replaying over and over and over again, like looping, something really peaceful, quiet, serene. You just let everything go. You're just kind of like at peace. It's just it's at peace. It's not blank. So do the thoughts stop? Can I get the thoughts to stop? I can get to the point where I can receive instead of bouncing back and forth my own thoughts. But it's like I'm constantly in like the Odo pool. Not everybody's into Deep Space Nine Star Trek, but Odo is the shapeshifter who apparently there's this like collective of like other shapeshifters, and they're on this planet, and they form this ocean, this pool where they can become themselves, but then they like share like all this info. And so like for me, it's just, it's just peaceful information. It's just a zen. It's a type of zen. It doesn't stop. It doesn't turn off. It doesn't. It's a more pleasant wave. It's just wave of the ocean coming and going, and that's okay. Thoughts that come and go. I don't try to stop my thoughts. No, I don't let it. It's like a shark that constantly keeps swimming, or I die. I wouldn't know. I just keep going. My thoughts keep going. The lights keep, apparently, electrical pulses. I don't know. Just constantly like, that minute, frequency of electromagnetics that we all have, that type of radiation that's been filtered and changed through that we all I just have mine at a constant megahertz of, just the thump, the connection, that constant, that beat that Earth has, that she gives constantly, the wind flowing, the birds beating, the whole, like, the throb of the Earth, um, the way that the magma flow keeps spinning, not magma, the lava, magma in the center just keeps spinning constantly and just keeps going. For me, that's what that is. It's you're constantly one with all that, and it's just the oddest thing that people can turn off their thoughts, or not have thoughts, or not have. There's this constant, it's just always there. The lights are always on. I'm always learning. I'm constantly learning. I'm constantly evolving. I go to sleep. I mean, if I'm sheer exhausted, and when I'm too exhausted to make decisions and too exhausted to have real thoughts, for me, it's it's not me reading the story or writing the story. It's more like I'm reading my subconscious's story. It's more like my subconscious is then, like, talking and taking over. I've learned that as a kid, that, this waking sleep, and apparently I sleepwalk too, but, um, it's like its hardest thing is, like, the watching the birds keep flying while they're asleep, and I can keep doing things while, like, awake. And it's not like daydreaming, like, "Oh, let me think about what if I was a character in my favorite story, or what if I was the main character?" And you sit there and you write yourself a story or your favorite episode of a show, and that's daydreaming. This is, if I've gone without sleep because ADD is very much like you already have sleep deprivation symptoms. These ADD is sleep deprivation symptoms. And I guess it's hallucination because I don't know exactly what hallucination is. But right before my eyes, right now I see you guys on YouTube. It'll play my dream. I'm dreaming. And these aren't things that I'm telling myself to think about, or that I would like to think about. This is going over the day, or having a dream, or watching, like, I'm, like, in a mountain and I'm mountain climbing all of a sudden. I don't know, Mount Everest. I'm like, "How do I know I'm on Mount Everest? How did I get here? What am I doing?" I'm doing the dishes, getting ready for bed, getting the kids ready for bed. I'm like, "Come on, let's go." My eyebrows are keeping my eyelids open, and it's I guess that's hallucination. I mean, I can see everything, I don't have to interact with it. It's story time for my subconscious. My subconscious is in the wheel, and I'm aware, and I'm, like, awake enough that my awake brain is watching me do it, and I can talk and I can do things. It's not paralysis, but it's not something I like to experience. It's not something that I go out of experience. But when you're sleep deprived and you have a small child and you have to make a bottle because that child is starving, and you don't want that, doesn't feel good to have a child starving. So you're like, here, let me make a bottle, make sure, test it. Uh, they're on autopilot. And you change a diaper because smell stuff, and so you do things, and you're very much, I'm still awake with that. When I'm sleepwalking, I'm not awake. I don't have the consciousness is not aware of anything. I'm told that I talk and I answer the door and I answer the phone and I do things. When did I talk to you? It's not split personality. I'm not trying to protect myself for a certain aspect of my life that I need to take. It's like I'm not a different person. I'm just, apparently I did stuff and I had no recollection because I was sleeping that whole entire time. Hi. Guess who's awake? Happy.
I got some pants that would actually
Oh, let's see your shirt. Do. Are you warm enough? Okay. So, yeah. Good morning, everybody. It is 7:29. See a bit of our location. Glitch. Did you have a good night? Did you have good dreams? Did you dream about Daddy? Did you dream about me? Yay! Did you dream about little fuzzy buzzy bunnies? What else did you dream about? Dream about Adelie? No, not the other YouTuber. Frogs.
Because I really want a pet frog.
Pet frog. Tell me about this pet frog.
Some frogs are poisonous.
Mm-hmm.
But the ones that are at the pet shop, they're not poisonous.
No, we have pet shops that have frogs.
Mm-hmm.
Intriguing.
A different pet shop. A different pet one. A different pet one. A different one.
A different one.
A different pet store.
Different pet store.
Yes. They have like 5 different pet stores.
Mm-hmm. How's your hug bar? Cuddle bar. You have an empty cuddle bar. We're gonna fill up our cuddle bar.
Love for daddies.
Oh, Daddy has a different cuddle bar and hug bar?
Uh-huh. You have like
Is mine almost empty? Can I fill it all up?
What favorite color is?
Oh, I have a colored hug bar.
What favorite color you have?
Dark rich purple is a good color. You're
Like
looking for color.
A violet?
Violet, yeah, or a plum royal purple. Either or. Violets are pretty. Like that kind of purple.
You can give a violet bar, and Jack can get what's his favorite color?
He loves all of them, but occasionally he'll take a green or a blue.
He'll get a rainbow one. And you also get a rainbow one.
I get a rainbow one! Yes.
Rainbow.
Do you give yourself cuddles and hugs? We should probably let you guys go. They're probably going to get hungry, and I'm going to have more chores to clean.
And the lizard.
De la mom.
And we also have the door in the back.
We do. I'm going to.
We also have stickers.
Yeah, well, I'm going to organize those stickers or organize what looks like on the front and the back. So, yeah. All right. Okay, say you. I love you guys. Bye-bye. Love you guys.
Love you.
You guys have a good one. Till the next we see each other. Or till the next we see me even. Bye-bye. See.